Pass Left Drafts here to talk about Cube, but possibly not the Cube video that you're expecting. And the idea from this came up because normally around this time of year, as part of the Christmas festivities, I'll do a Chaos Draft with friends. I'll organise a Chaos Draft with friends, get some really spicy packs, try and balance them out, and have a really fun event. Last year I had Christmas crackers, I put some foil lands in there, put a few D20s in there, and just had a really good time. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do that this year. And kind of looking around the cubes that were on Arena and also on Magic Online, they are amazing. They are absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure nobody here would disagree with that. But the problem is that they're quite difficult to draft with friends. Sure, you can draft them using a outside app like the Heroku, but on Arena especially, you have to then spend wild cards to craft the decks if you don't have the biggest collection, or on Magic Online, you have to probably rent the cards out from somewhere. And for people who don't generally play on Magic Online, it doesn't really work. So my solution for this was I created a cube designed to be drafted on an external app and then drafted in Arena. It only uses commons and uncommons available in Arena. So it's basically a peasant cube for Arena. It's really wildcard friendly because when you come to put it together, you've probably got a lot of the cards already, but if you don't have some, especially if you don't have many historic sets, it's only using common and uncommon wildcards, so it's going to be a bit easier on your wildcard stash. Showed it to my friends, we've played a couple of test games and we've had a lot of fun, and I've decided to make it public to kind of be a little bit my present to you. Okay, I'll go through a little bit about what the cube's made up of, and it's made up with any uncommon or common card available on Arena, and this includes Jumpstart, it includes the historic sets, it includes the supplemental sets that were brought in the historic, Amonkhet Remastered, Kaladesh Remastered, all that stuff as well. And what this does is it brings a lot of power to this common and uncommon slot, being able to take all the best bits from these different formats and from these different draft formats and sets. I've got a lot of power in there. I've also put a lot of gold cards in here, and it's probably the most major theme across the whole cube, because a lot of power comes from these gold cards. And I thought it'd be really useful having there. And because it's got lots of gold cards, it's also got lots of fixing. Because I think something that we'll learn from the Guild of Ravnica block is that you need the fixing to go with the theme. So they have the gates. We have a whole host of different dual lands that we can use, tap lands, lifelines, and all that stuff as well. Decks are usually about, we'll say 2.5 colours. So either 2 colours with a small splash, maybe 2 colours, but I think the small splash would be more common than 2 colours. You might be full 3 colours, or you might even be kind of a base green splashing 3 or 4 other colours. And I think, you know, that's a real fun place to be, because then you can get the best of all these different sets. And to be honest, each colour does pretty much what you expect. Red and white have a lot of aggro in them, but also white's got some token stuff going for it. Green does ramp, green does a bit of land stuff. It also has some big creatures. Black's got a fair amount of removal. Blue's got some flash stuff going on, and flyers, and blue and white, and all this stuff is pretty much what you'll expect to see. There's no huge surprises, but there's a lot of power outside the rare slot, which is what I wanted to bring to this. There's a couple of notable absences from the cube, and I think the biggest one here is some of these set-specific mechanics, and energy is a big one for me. So it's a really, really good mechanic in the Kaladesh Remastered sets, but I think outside of that it just doesn't do anything. You need the energy producers and the energy users. So for the same reason why you don't see much energy in Modern or Pioneer, it's not really made its way into this cube. One set specific mechanic which did make it through was Mutate, and I've included a few Mutate cards here, because what you're able to do is you can mutate your Dreamtail Heron onto a 1/1, you get your card draw and it does the thing, and if you get a few mutate cards, then they can work together and you can get a really cool thing going on every so often. Another thing I left out was the gate deck. I thought I could put a gate deck in there with some gate payoffs, but with only really 10 or so gates going around, I think there might be 11 in there as well, you're not going to get enough gates to really get these things to pay off. So we've got the gates in there for fixing, but we don't have anything really in the way of gate synergies going on. Another thing, red-black, the biggest kind of cross-set mechanic which is going on in red-black was Sacrifice, but time and again it hasn't worked, and I thought I'd try and get it to work in this, but I still couldn't quite get it there. So a lot of this kind of Sacrifice deck, Aristocrats deck in red-black is left out. There's a couple of bits that were left over, but I think it just wasn't there, and I purposely stayed away from this. As such, the Rakdos Guild does look a little bit like it doesn't have as much support because the gold cards aren't there, but I think the red and black are still very much there around that as well. Enough about what's not included though. what you really want to know is what is included. And for the fixing, because we've got all of these gold cards, we've got gates, we've got tap lands, we've got gain lands, we've got the thriving lands, which are an incredible land cycle at common. And, you know, in some ways they are better than the original dual lands, so they're really, really good to include. We've got crystals from Ikoria, we've got Ancient Ziggurat, we've got loads of things like this that I think really allow us to be a bit more ambitious with our mana bases and to stretch out and splash here and there, which is really good fun. And, you know, even be able to splash something really good in an aggro deck, as you'll see later with one of the decks at the end, is absolutely amazing. The uncommon planeswalkers are included, and these are all the ones from War. I did leave out Jaya, but I put in M20 Chandra as well. I suppose I could have put Jaya in, which is not that bad when you only think about the uncommon ones, but, you know, I thought I'd just balance out this little bit in general. Looking at some of the other colour groups, we've got Elementals are mainly centred in Temur, and you've got things like Risen Reef, which, you know, really benefit from having other Elementals, but are really strong cards in themselves. We've got life gain payoffs, so we've got main in black-white, obviously. Get a little bit of life gain in green, and, you know, we've got things like the Cleric of Life's Bond and other life gain payoffs in there. Blue-red has wizards and spells, so we've got a lot of your traditional wizards and spells. This was really benefited from Zendikar Rising, but of course blue-red spells has been something for a while. Again, looking back at War of the Spark, you've got the Spell Gorger Weird, which benefits from instants and sorceries as well. Another really popular one, and it's got quite a lot of support at uncommon and uncommon, but mainly uncommon when going across sets, is the Big Butts, the Backbone archetype as well. So where toughness matters, and there's enough ways in there for that to really pay off. And other archetypes and synergies that you would expect from the colour pairs, like ramp and big creatures and flyers, are all included. So lots of different archetypes. It's a bit of a mishmash, and hopefully allow a bit of replayability, and, you know, just some of the most fun I've had with cards over the last few years on Arena. Another big thing that's in there, hybrid manas all over the place. I included all the hybrid mana cards I could, because it really, really helps using these splashing decks where you're going to have 2 or 3, well, 3 or 4 colours sometimes. So, like I was saying earlier, 2.5 colours, and hybrid mana really helps fill those gaps in when you have a bit of a greedy mana base, I suppose. We have played this draft once or twice already, and a huge thanks to my testing team. Yes, it was good fun to draft with you guys and always enjoy it, but, you know, the cuts and the discussions that you gave us were really, really useful. So Crash and Basham, thank you to Joe Larden, and also thank you to the guys who are in the Draft Chaff podcast Discord, because they had a look at the cube and kind of gave me their thoughts, and it was all really, really useful. And one big thing I got from the playtesting is it kind of feels like a Ravnica draft, some kind of guild-based draft, and that's definitely not a bad thing, because they're some of the best drafts we've had over the past few years, and I was really pleased that happened. Like I say, you know, a lot of guild cards did make it in there, because I went for a lot of the multicoloured and a lot of the hybrid mana, but there's plenty of cards outside of there as well, which make it seem like a kind of atypical guild draft. It just kind of has a feeling where once you find your lane, you can do your thing, but also you can grab these nice splash cards, which are really nice as well. The game's generally really fun, and very few times one player was like massively streamrolled. A lot of games were close, and even if one person was out ahead the whole time, it always felt that it could go back the other way. So in short, testing was a huge success. And here are some of the decks from playtesting. So first up, you can have a nice red-white aggro deck drafted by Crash and Basham, which is totally his style of deck. If you've seen him on the channel before, just red-white, lots of attacking. You've got Heroic Intervention there, you've got Dawn Feather Eagle, all these things which kind of make a nice wide board, that little bit bigger to push the damage through. And he came third, I think, in the draft overall, something like that. And well done to him. You know, having aggro available in the draft, but not necessarily overpowered, is, I thought, quite tricky to balance off, and I think we've done all right here. Another deck is a Sultai value deck, and it's kind of exactly what I would kind of expect from a cube like this, where you have lots of good cards in three colours, just getting value, getting card advantage, doing really good things. There was a good little bit of a mutate mechanic in here, but there's also buying things back from the graveyard. There's good removal, and, you know, it's really went across the 3 colours and done a really, really strong thing. So this was from Gareth. This got through to second place, and I'm going to show you the deck which I drafted in a second, which got me to first, and it was really fun to play against, and you know, it just showed some of these great decks that you can get in this cube. Last deck I want to show you is, like I said, it's a deck that I drafted, and I was really pleased this did as well as it was. When I was drafting it, I was thinking, well, you know, it's going to do all right. It'll win some games. But I went through and I won. I think all my rounds were 2-1, which I think, you know, everything going 2-1 and winning overall feels really good. But the thing I was worried about is it wasn't doing enough good value stuff, but because it just got good value creatures, you got the Ferris Brand Brawler as well as another basically the same card. 6 mana 4/4, which fights a thing when it comes in, so it's removal on a big stick. You got some really good removal, you got a bit of ramp, and I've also splashed white for Angelic Ascension and Appeal to Authority, 2 cards which I think are great to splash in a non-white deck, so splashing white for them. And yeah, it just managed to get through, had some really big attacks, and you know, able to pump one creature up a lot and then fling it with Kazil's Fury. Felt it went really, really well. Big surprise wins out of nowhere, but also just being able to do a bit of a beatdown with some big red-green creatures. Going forward, I do hope to keep this cube updated as new cards are released on Arena. I'm going to drop things out, add things in, keep it to 540, I think, just to keep that variation between drafts going. And we'll definitely listen to some feedback from any playtesters on here. If you do draft a cube, let me know. Let me know how it went. Let me see what decks you built, what went well, what didn't go well, anything which you think is maybe a little bit overpowered. And we'll just keep it updated and not go too analytical on it, but we'll see what people are thinking, and if there's any big errors which we've missed somehow, then we'll pick up on that and we'll keep it updated. So, in closing, thanks for watching. Let me know if you play it. If you want to play it, you can open up Heroku. I've put the link to the Cube Cobra list in the description below. All you can do is go into settings on Heroku and add it in there. If you can't find a way to do it, comment below and I'll see if I can sort you out, or you can also see us over on Twitter at PLDMTG. If you do draft, let me know how it goes. I really, really want to see some of the decks that people are playing. And, you know, obviously we're on YouTube, so if you can do the YouTube things, like the video, subscribe to the channel, get the notifications, watch some of the other videos that we've done, I'd really, really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to see what everybody drafts with the cube, and have a really good Christmas.